The Rick and Morty Season 6 premiere has set the big new stakes for the series as we finally have a true big bad in the form of Rick Prime, the demented version of Rick who killed the family of Rick C-137 and set the core mythology of the show in motion. Right now, all of us are wondering and thinking about Rick Prime and the full focus is on him, but let's not forget about another big bad of the series who has been built up since Season 1, and that character is Evil Morty. How will Rick Prime's introduction affect Evil Morty and his place in the series? This is the topic of today's video, but before starting, I want to ask you all to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. I hope you all have a great day. Now let's get on with the video. Well, the very first time when Prime Rick was first referenced was also the episode when Evil Morty debuted. Evil Rick labeled him as Weird Rick, and for some time that was his known name. In Pocket Morty's, his name was again Weird Rick, a customization option at Salesman Rick's, and can be purchased for 10 blips and chits coupons. But during his big debut, show writers changed their name, and I'm actually very happy about that, since Prime Rick sounds much more interesting than Weird Rick. But let's get back to that episode again. We know that Evil Rick was controlled by Evil Morty, and the scene where he labeled Prime Rick as Weird Rick makes me think that he was actually trying to test our Rick to get information on Rick Prime by pointing out his super weird standing in the ranks, aiming to get a reaction out of Rick, and was met with disappointing results. If anything, I think it's clear that Evil Morty knows about Prime Rick, which makes me believe that they will cross paths at some point in the future. The very first time when we actually meet Prime Rick is in Rick's flashback, when Rick C-137 was captured and interrogated on the origins of the portal gun formula by Cornelius Daniel in the Rick Shank Redemption. He revealed a slightly edited version of Rick Prime's visit in order to allow him to take control of the situation and jumpstart his escape attempt. At that time, a lot of people, including me, thought that that story was fully fabricated in order to fool Cornelius Daniel, but the last episode of Season 5 confirmed everything, and the fact that his past that was shown in the first episode of the third season was in fact true. When we look at him, Rick Prime has more grayish skin than other versions of Rick, as well as more dull-colored hair. He wore a purplish jacket with a gray shoulder pad and a red shirt underneath. He also wore grayish-black pants and appears to have been using the iPhone 3 equivalent prototype of the modern portal gun upon first seeing Rick C-137. After many years, his appearance is completely unchanged, implying that he either actually is a clone or his healing abilities also give him longevity. Rick Prime's life was, to a point, similar to other Ricks, being married to Diane and having a daughter named Beth. After gaining interdimensional travel, he abandoned his original family and universe and started introducing the portal gun and the existence of the multiverse to other Ricks. His one conversation with Jerry at the end of the Solar Ricks episode reveals several interesting things about him. The fact that he called Morty a little kid makes me think that he doesn't really know him, but he knows about Jerry, which makes me think that he abandoned his family before Morty was born and after meeting Jerry, and all of this is likely before meeting C-137 Rick. His weird obsession with the portal gun makes me think that he was one of the first, if not the first, who created that device, which made him feel above every other Rick. He also said that he doesn't team up anymore since managing people is such a headache for him. This single line makes me think that he was a leader of some kind of group, which most likely was based on Rick's, since we saw how he was recruiting our Rick in his flashback, and fortunately we have already seen something interesting about that. In Rick Sanchez's flashback, we can see that one version of Rick had a red string conspiracy board of numerous Ricks around a tapestry of what would later become the citadel of Rick's insignia. This means that before the citadel was formed, there was some kind of cult of Ricks who believed in superiority, and their leader could very well have been Prime Rick. Rick refers to Rick Prime as the real deal to Morty. His reasoning for this is that Rick Prime was a narcissist who actively hated attachments to his family, to the point that he is willing to abandon them for over 20 years. Rick Prime also believed other Ricks should follow suit, hence his choice to murder Beth and Diane from Dimension C-137, doing away with Rick C-137's attachments in that world. In a sense, Rick Prime's personality is what Rick pretended to be for years, a self-absorbed man who didn't care about anyone, upholding the nihilistic philosophy that all other Ricks project. When Rick Prime first approached Rick C-137, the latter denied any interest. Insulted, Rick Prime sent a bomb to Dimension C-137, which killed Beth and Diane Sanchez. After seeking medical attention and grieving for some time, Rick C-137 developed the technology required for a functional portal gun on his own and began searching the multiverse for Rick Prime to avenge his family. After years of futile hunting, however, he gave up on actively trying to find him and aided in brokering a peace treaty between Ricks. This decision consequently led to the formation of the Citadel. Rick C-137 then sought out the dimension from where Rick Prime originated and decided to settle in with the family he had abandoned there, reasoning that one day Rick Prime would return and he would finally get his revenge. As time passed, last, however, he began to grow attached to the Morty he met there and lost his drive to get revenge, even leaving the dimension for another one when he accidentally caused an apocalypse. In Solarix, after Morty is accidentally sent back to the Cronenberg dimension and Rick goes to retrieve him, Rick tells the truth about Rick Prime's background and status as Morty's real grandfather. Reasoning that Rick Prime would have been affected by the same science error Rick made that sent everyone back to their original dimensions, they travel to Rick Prime's lair, which is full of booby traps and a glass tube purported to contain Rick Prime or even a clone of him. Rick goes on the offensive, still wanting revenge for what Rick Prime did to his family, but Morty convinces him it's no longer worth it, as Rick now has a family in a different dimension to worry about, and Morty considers Rick C-137 his grandfather. They depart, unaware that Rick Prime had in fact been the one in the tube. Rick Prime encounters Jerry, who recognizes the threat he poses and tries to kill him. Rick Prime quickly reveals his healing abilities and kills Jerry. So, this is everything we know about Prime Rick. What could that mean for evil Morty? Well, the last time when we saw him was in the last episode of Season 5, when he successfully managed to break through the central finite curves surrounding wall and access the edge of the multiverse. He used his portal gun to open a portal to an unknown location. The current whereabouts of evil Morty is unknown. However, in the Solarix episode, there is a big chance that evil Morty was back in his original dimension, since in that episode, Rick tries to fix his portal gun from evil Morty's sabotage by resetting the portal fluid, but accidentally causes a glitch that causes all people who have used portals to be sent back to their original dimension. Since all the known people who had traveled in a different dimension, including Jerry and Prime Rick, got back to their original dimension, I don't think it's far-fetched to assume that evil Morty wasn't an exception either, and he was sent back to his original universe. Writers could use this as a way to bring him back to the story, but what kind of purpose will he have? When we think about it, evil Morty and Prime Rick are almost identical characters. Neither of them believe in cooperation and prefer to do things alone. Evil Morty didn't have a single ally, and in the end, he destroyed almost everyone he knew. The same thing could be said about Prime Rick. We see that he works alone, and after his conversation with Jerry, we can say that he doesn't believe in cooperation either. However, the fact that evil Morty was interested in Prime Rick's whereabouts makes me think that at some point they will cross paths. However, their interaction is going to be very interesting. I don't know whether they will be enemies or allies, but the fact that they are relatively the same characters makes me think that they may ally with each other. But this is just a theory, nothing more. What do you think about Prime Rick? How will evil Morty's role change in the series? Let me know in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more.